Aloha everyone, Happy New Year and welcome to KCC's first ever Blue Table Talk. Here you'll be able to gain student perspective, tips, and solutions on how we also face day-to-day obstacles while attending college. For the spring semester, we will be streaming live every last Monday of the month. And for our very first topic, we are so excited to talk about back to school tips. We found this was very perfect since we are starting spring semester. Today, you'll be able to hear, meet, and learn from KCC's Chartered Student Organizations, otherwise known as CSO student leaders. We have the Board of Student Activities and Student Congress here with us today, where they'll share with you their routine and their plans for back to school tips. So we'll have them introduce themselves. Aloha, my name is Cecilia Po'oi. I'm the chairperson for the Board of Student Activities and majoring in the Hospitality and Tourism Management.
I'm Kelly, and I am the vice chair for the Board of Student Activities, and I'm currently a computer science major. We currently have some openings on the board, and if you would like to join and help out with student events and activities, feel free to contact us. We have some events for February if you would like to join. For example, the video game tournament on the 5th of February on Friday, and then the online game night on 18th of February.
Hi, my name is Jihae. I'm a voting member on BOSA. I'm majoring in liberal arts. We have Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter for our upcoming events. So please follow us at KCC BOSA. Also, if you have any question, please send us an email to kccbosa@hawaii.edu.
Aloha, my name is Alex. I am the Student Congress president. We are focusing on a lot of really cool events for you folks the rest of the semester. We have a couple of things going on. We have Thriving Thursdays that we are really working on. It'll be every Thursday, January 21st, the 28th, February the 4th, and the 11th. We're addressing student workloads, talking about that and how to better manage that. We're also going to be focusing, having conversations with Christy, which is our distance learning counselor, to find practical solutions to help us deal with our stress. And we're also looking at, for the month of February, focusing on healthy meals. So we'll definitely be working with our Vice President, Nick Bolo. And if you are interested in being a part of Student Congress, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. And I'll pass it on to Jenny.
Hi, my name is Jenny, and I'm the treasurer here at Student Congress, and I'm a bio major. You can contact us at CAP, so KAPCCSC@hawaii.edu if you want to talk to us at Student Congress. And our social media handle on Instagram is CAPCCSC.
Okay, so all right, you've met our student leaders for KCC, so let's go ahead and get started. A friendly reminder that during this live stream, we do have a chat box that's open for questions. So for those of you who are watching, if you have any questions during the live stream, please feel free to ask us in the chat box. All right, so let's hear from our student leaders. Let's get some of their perspectives on their back to school tips. So as student leaders, what are some of your tips or solutions you do to prepare yourself for a new semester at school? We'll start with Alex.
Ooh, okay, so to prepare for school, I will say for myself, especially now in the time of COVID, I do I call it, I guess, like a protection bag. So I always make sure that I have my wipes for my hands. And I also make sure that I always have my wipes with bleach for any type of, like, maybe a table. I come to campus a lot. So I always try to make sure that I have hand wipes and also surface wipes, because I guess there's a difference. One has bleach, the other one has benzoyl chloride or something like that. So for me personally, the reason why I come to campus a lot is I don't learn really well being at home in my room. That just is not the type of environment that is conducive for my learning. And that's something that I learned about myself, especially when COVID started. So I really make sure that I'm very aware and clear about what spaces are open to us as students on campus. And I definitely take full advantage of that. And I really try to look at those resources and see how we can also share that information with the student body. That is what I do for school. How I start my day is every day I do take about 20 minutes and I try to meditate and I try to just bring myself back. and I try to set an intention for what I would like to accomplish that day. So that might mean that I might journal a little bit, listen to a little bit of music, or I'll try to get inspired by something that I may have read throughout the week. And that's what I do to start my regimen.
That's awesome. So I just love how you mentioned to start your day and to also keep safe, you bring wipes, and there's two types of wipes that you bring, but we'll go ahead and move on. We'll hear from Jihei.
I think we should make time more efficient when the semester starts. In particular, most of the classes are conducted online this semester. So we have to organize what you have to do and how much time we are going to spend on this must be decided in advance. For this reason, I think the syllabus and calendar are the most important tools. When the semester starts, I printed out the syllabus first and read it once. Then I write down what I have to do this month on the Google Calendar. If you use the syllabus and Google Calendar well, you will never miss an important assignment. Also, I try to get up early every day to organize my schedule. So starting the day earlier and organizing what I have to do today helped me use my time more efficiently.
Awesome. Again, I just want to remind everyone that's in this session and for those who are watching, this is a discussion where we're able to ask other people questions and even those around us. So I like, Jihei, I'm so amazed you wake up so early. I still have to fix my time schedule and waking up. So next we'll hear from Kelly and then Jenny.
Oh, Jihei, that you said what I was gonna say. But for me, I think it's really important, especially when you're doing online learning, to check your emails because a lot of things happen right before classes start, right? So already classes have started, and a lot of professors has been reaching out to us through, of course, Laulima, but also email. And not checking an email can mean the difference between maybe missing an assignment or maybe missing a class. So making sure everyone checks their Laulima and email regularly, I think is very important. And at least this semester, I actually have 4 synchronous classes and 1 asynchronous. And I kind of learned from my mistakes last semester of not really budgeting my time out every week, a specific time for like this class and another class. So this semester, I really did try and carve out another time in my schedule for specifically my asynchronous class that I won't have live lectures at.
That's great. Thanks, Kelly. Now we'll hear from Jenny.
So some tips and solutions you can do to prepare yourself for this semester. Like Jihei was saying, the importance of reading the syllabus, but also I would mention that contacting your professor, having dedicated study block of time that you can do, because I think that the importance, if you're taking heavy course loads like math or science classes or even English and stuff where it requires a lot of time for you to study and sit down, having a dedicated time where you can devote your whole like maybe an hour or two a day, which helps a lot, just helps you be prepared for exams so you're not caught off guard.
Thanks, Jenny. That was very insightful. I guess for me, some tips and solutions that I would like to share with you all, well, I had to learn from a trial and error process, was first, after I come back from break, I list everything on my wall calendar at Walmart, $5.99, grab it, everybody. But I would list everything and then I'd be like, okay, this is my day. I'm busy. I can't do anything. Don't schedule friends. And I hate to say it, but my friends take the penalty of me not showing up. So for me, it's, looking at the pros and the cons of an event, looking at which ones I have to go to, which ones aren't as important. Also, just managing my time wisely is a big thing that I find is really needed in the beginning of the semester. So that's a big tip that I highly recommend for everybody. Manage your time wisely. Start now. Don't wait. Don't procrastinate. But yeah, so again, I'm not perfect. I had to learn through a trial and error process. It's still a trial and error process, but I do realize that when you plan out your month or your week or even your day, you start to not feel so stressful because you already know what you're going to do throughout that day. But I do highly recommend take 1 hour for yourself. Yeah, just take a nap, refresh, rejuvenate, and then go back to work. So with that being said, everybody shared so much insightful tips and solutions that they do. What I loved is that we all had a different variety. We didn't really have the same thing. So that was really nice. So the next question, I guess, would be, how did you create / come up with this plan and or solution to prepare yourself for another semester? Is there an experience that you had that made you create this plan? Like, please share. So we'll start with Kelly. And again, just keep the conversation going. If you have questions yourself, feel free to unmute yourself. So let's go.
All right, so how I briefly was talking about earlier, how the semester before, so the fall semester, which was the first fully online semester that we've had, I did not have many synchronous classes, so there weren't live lectures. I had to watch the lectures in my own time. And because everything was due on Sunday, I would start everything on Saturday. And so my weekends would be actually Monday and Tuesday. Got everything done. I finally have time to relax and procrastinate even more for the next week. In the beginning, it was really easy because it's not really difficult in the early on in the semester, but it snowballed and snowballed. And I definitely pulled a few all-nighters that I shouldn't have. So it definitely made me look for more synchronous classes this semester. Of course, registration is over by the time this is published, but perhaps for next semester, if you're finding yourself struggling with this, you can look for more synchronous classes, as I really do think it will help some people be on track and also give them a regular schedule to keep up with. For my asynchronous class, on the other hand, as I've said before, I've decided to put in my calendar a specific time for me to watch the lectures and read the readings or handouts. So that's definitely something I have to keep on top of for this semester. Also, planner. Keep a planner.
No, okay, if you guys know Kelly, she's our vice chair for BOSA, but she has done so much within the short period of time that she's joined BOSA. She has pulled so many all-nighters that caused her to come to meetings tired, but still pull through. So, props for you, sis. You got it, Kelly. Thank you. Okay, so next we'll hear from Jihei. Just share with us if you do have a backstory, share it.
I learned it when I came to KCC in the first semester. The English class professor gave out the syllabus and told me to check the syllabus every week to check the assignments. In fact, he informed me of his assignment in advance so I could plan my week. He also informed me of the long run task 2 weeks in advance, which was really helpful for carrying out the assignments. In the first semester, I checked the syllabus with the professor, but from the next semester on, I checked the syllabus alone and prepared the assignments myself. Also, I have used Google Calendar since last semester. Before, I would use Google Calendar only for my personal appointments and plans. However, in the last economy class, the professor put the assignments deadline in Google Calendar and shared that, which was really helpful. So I got into the habit of checking the Google Calendar and checking the mail every morning.
That's awesome. No, seriously, I don't know, I'm speaking for myself, but it took me a while to check my mail, my UH email, because sometimes it'd be like, oh, there's nothing there. They'll let me know in La Lima. Oh, big mistake. Yeah, my grade showed it too. So let's move on. Let's hear from Alex. And again, for those who are participating in our Blue Table Talk, if you have questions that you want to ask the previous speaker, please feel free to unmute yourself.
All right, so for me, I'm going to be really honest. When COVID started, I think all of us thought that this was going to be like a 3-month, 2-month, and then now we're going to be in the fall. That definitely did not take place. And I will say, and I'll be very honest about myself, spring semester, I had to have a kumbaya moment with myself and really say, what kind of student am I? How do I learn? And how can I truly be successful? And I'm really grateful to the resources that we have available here. And I'm incredibly grateful to the Hawaiian Studies building, because through that avenue, I met my tutor who has been a godsend, like just a godsend. And I really want to take my hat off to the peer tutoring group, because that has helped me be incredibly successful. But through having that relationship and that conversation, and also being self-aware with myself. I was able to have very productive, healthy conversations with my tutor who helped me decipher and really think about the course load that I decided to take for the fall. Obviously now we're in spring, and that same exact conversation happened again right before we registered. And actually right before I was, doing my actual plan for 2021, I really sat back down and talked to my tutor, and I really wanted to make sure that I wasn't overburdening myself. Student Congress did a really great event last semester with the CAAL program. And one thing that Cindy Millam, the counselor for that program, she really talked about making sure that you need to be conscious of the fact that we're living in a pandemic. Don't be hard on yourself. I mean, I've been taking 13 hours probably for the last couple semesters, and I'm not going to lie, it's incredibly difficult to manage a full-time job, going to school full-time, and then also doing extracurricular activities. But one thing that I really took away from that she said is, you don't have to take all these classes now. Give yourself a moment to woosah and just really come back to yourself. And you can always take that hard class next semester. It's not a big deal. Right now, the world is going through a pandemic. And what's that one that there's always a post that I see on Instagram? It's people online are never posting or showing their difficulties. They're only posting their wins. And that really sat with me. And I really meditated on that concept of, we're going through a pandemic. I don't need to be killing myself right now, because obviously there's something out there that could do that for me, but I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to stay positive and I'm trying to stay focused, but I'm also trying to make sure that I'm malamoing myself so that I can be the best that I can be moving forward.
That's really interesting that you were mentioning about Hawaiian Studies tutor, because I didn't know that we had Hawaiian Studies tutor. I mean, I haven't taken a Hawaiian Study class yet, so I didn't know that. That's interesting because like another thing you kind of made me think of is that I'm a STEM student and we have the STEM center that's actually available for students to go to. A lot of students don't know this, and especially because we're not in person, they don't have the opportunities to go here. But if you go to kccstem.com, and then I'm going to put the link somewhere on here, you can actually find a list of your peer tutors for the different STEM subjects. For example, biology, math, computer science, engineering, physics, botany, and microbiology. So I've personally gone to these tutors last semester, and they're really helpful. Some of them are my friends from classes. They're all, a bunch of nice people. But yeah, Alex, if you could just let everyone know how they can find a Hawaiian Studies tutor or other tutors, if you've used them too, that would be awesome.
So you can definitely go on the Instagram. I think it's KCC Peer Tutors, or the HOA program, HOA program. They have lots of tutors for different types of subjects. I'm not sure if it's separate from the STEM tutors, but I definitely encourage everybody, because I will definitely say that for me, navigating when COVID started, it was incredibly awesome. And I cannot say how valuable it was for not only my mental health, but also my sanity, and giving me some sense of stability to be able to talk to someone who understood my struggle and understood what I was going through, not only from a school perspective, but also from a life perspective. Because I hate using this tagline, because I hate tags like this. We're all in this together. When I was talking with my tutor, it warmed my heart so much to be able to know that someone else was also struggling the way that I was struggling. And it's not the struggle that I'm embracing, or I am embracing the struggle. It gave me more resolve to help me navigate registering for school, what type of teacher that I wanted. I was so grateful that I could talk to my tutor about classes that she'd already taken some of those professors. So we were having a dialogue about what that was going to be like. And then also being able to navigate, now I'm in Hawaiian, Olelo, Hawaii 201. And so just navigating through that conversation of what's my learning style. I'm a big person about, if I have a rhythm, I don't like to change it. So I definitely wanted to keep the same tutor, because I don't want to start all over again with someone. I'm not trying to get in that relationship again. I'm committed, and my tutor knows my struggles, and she knows where I'm good at, and she also knows where I'm not good at. And I was really appreciative to have that. And again, I just cannot say how, for me, it's just an incredible thing. And I think that if you are struggling with your studies, please reach out to someone, because there is opportunities for help out there.
I love that you advocated for that and you're stressing the importance that if you need help, there are help and, student assistance available on campus. And when you mentioned that you can find it on Instagram, it just amazes me to this day. I'm sorry for the rooster, but it amazes me to this day how technology is evolving and social media is being taken to another level where you're able to get the assistance needed for school. So again, for all those who are watching, take hold of Instagram, social media, because you can get help there. We do have school pages there. So thank you, Alex, for sharing. Now we'll hear from Jenny.
All right, so my advice was to study early. And why the heck would you study so early in the semester? Well, I would say it's about forming good habits early. And like Alex was saying, being assertive in your learning process. You got to know when to ask for help and why. For me, that's one of the subjects that's the hardest or has the steepest learning curve that I have struggled the most is math. So starting early and kind of knowing, of course, you got to study what's relevant, what you're going to be learning, but studying early will give you kind of like a leg up if you weren't going to study at all.
Thank you so much. And you know what? I have to, because I'm next. So I have to also agree with Jenny because studying early, I found also helps you not only manage your time wisely, but get things done in a timely manner where you'll have free time at the end to just relax and also to ask questions ahead of time. For me, it was about managing your time, but also seeing what's important and what's not, factoring those two aspects of important and not important, like for events. So for me, I have a lot of stories, but let's just share one. So what caused me or what made me come up with this solution and tip was the fact that when I first started college, I was working at the Polynesian Cultural Center. And for me, I took work more serious than education because I thought, hey, I'm going to get the experience. I'm going to keep moving up. So I didn't really take my studies seriously. I kept putting my studies off. I said, no, I'll take care of it tonight and then move to the next night. And because of that, I did see a big impact on my grades, which caused me to be discouraged to go back to school. So I did take a 1-year hiatus off of school. Then I came back and then I was like, okay, I'm going to major in this. And then I found, I didn't like that major in my brain because I was so late and I was procrastinating from the beginning to the end because I was more focused on work. I was like, nope, that major's not for me. And then I stopped. So then I came back to school the next semester. I didn't take another hiatus because then it was not allowed in my household. But I did come back to school and I majored in the major that I found I will enjoy in the future, and that's hospitality and tourism management. And because of that, working at different areas at the Polynesian Cultural Center and then coming here to KCC, I realized that education is a big factor in your life in order to progress to the career that you want. So because of that, I learned to manage my time and also so that my younger sisters don't graduate before me. But, I realized from doing that, I saw a greater impact in my grades where they were boosted up to A's and B's, sometimes C's if I was feeling a little lazy. But then last semester, I did try the solution that I was sharing of managing my time and planning it out on a calendar. And I realized that I passed all my courses, my GPA went up, I'm doing really well, and I'm graduating this semester. So, girl, I'm happy, sorry. So, but other than that, that's why I am a real advocate for time management nowadays. And I also agree with what everyone else said. You have support groups that you need to, if you need it, go for it. Do not be ashamed. I even went to different support groups as well on campus that helped me with my education to manage my time. And we also have our supervisors for Student Congress. We have Shannon and I have Roman. And Roman, during our one-on-ones, I used to make a joke. She's like, that's my vent time where I can just vent how I'm feeling so that I don't feel stressed throughout the week. So she took a lot of my frustration out. Are you sure anybody wants to say anything? Come on, people, this is a discussion. Okay, so.
Congrats on graduating this semester. I kind of am too. Woo!
Yes. So sadly, Kelly and I will no longer be with BOSA after this semester, but we do love KCC. And one of the reasons we joined, sorry, going off topic really quick, and one of the reasons I joined as well was to make a difference to the campus that has given me so much. So again, yeah, I'm just really happy. Sorry. Okay, so we'll move on. The next question that we have for you all, including myself, is what is one advice you would share with the student body regarding school? And we'll start with Jenny.
That's a great question. One advice I would say is keep your health in check, whether that's mentally or physically, especially physically. Well, also mentally, they're both equally important, but physically for me, I've noticed that we kind of get so absorbed in school, work, whatever it is, that we kind of take our health and how well we keep our bodies kind of second priority to that. So, in order to stay healthy and stuff, I would try not to snack on a bunch of junk food, which I've been doing, and exercise, do like yoga or at home fitness. They have like a bunch of YouTube videos. And health wise, be mindful of your course load that you're taking so you don't stretch yourself thin, or how much hours you're working. Of course, some people don't have the flexibility to do that, but it's great to keep mindful on how you're balancing things out.
Well, that's amazing advice. Thank you so much, Jenny. Now we'll hear from Kelly.
100% agree with you, Jenny. Make sure to take care of your physical health and mental health, especially physical health, because Miss Rona is still hanging around for a while. One advice that I have is to plan ahead, not only for this semester but also the future. As kind of what's different from high school and different from jobs is that if you're in the sciences like I am, you need to take certain classes in order to advance to another class. So I've had friends who actually either took a class not realizing that they didn't need it, they needed another one. So they accidentally took this class that now they don't need, but have to take basically the same course, just has a different course number. Or other people who wanted to take 300 level course at Manoa, but then they didn't have the prerequisites at KCC. So I know this is really different from high school, and also the social sciences and the humanities don't have as much differences between the levels. So you don't need math 1, math 2, chem 1, chem 2 to go into the next thing. But if you're part of STEM, then that's really something you need to pay attention to. And of course, I can really only speak in experience as a science major. At campus, we have so many wonderful advisors. For example, at the MIDA Canberra Center, my counselor was Lisa Urizari, wonderful, wonderful lady. She really helped me a lot, especially when I first entered KCC. So I actually had my whole entire thing planned out, and I just gave it to her and I said, "Is this okay? Make sure it's okay, please." But I know for some people that's kind of daunting to plan ahead, and also you don't know what you need to plan ahead. So going to an advisor or an academic counselor on campus is really, really helpful, especially if you're less confident in finding out this information for yourselves. And I'm actually not graduating KCC this semester, but transferring to UH Manoa for the fall. And this is through the Ka'ia program, which is, I think it's all the community college in the UH system. It's an easier way. You don't have to directly apply. It's a very easy way to transfer into it. But I know that some people weren't aware of this program, like CC, weren't aware of this program. So, some people could have transferred earlier or had an easier time transferring to UH Manoa, but they just didn't know of this different avenue. So looking up Ka'ia, again, I'll drop the link somewhere here. It's a really good program that helps you transfer easily. Plus, you can also register at the same time as UH Manoa students. So this semester, I'm taking 2 classes at UH, and I managed to get into the classes that I wanted to. And they filled up real quick after that. So that's kind of my advice. Just make sure to plan ahead. And of course, you don't need to go end up with a bachelor's for your time at KCC to be useful in AS and AA. That's also really great. I didn't personally have plans to go to UH Manoa in the beginning when I first went to KCC, but seeing that I was really interested in my subject, computer science, and I wanted to keep on learning more, that's what made me have the decision to do this. So everyone's personal education experience is really valid, but this is just some advice for people who want to end up with a bachelor's degree.
Thank you so much, Kelly. And yes, take advantage of all that the school has to offer. If I knew about Ka'ia, I would have joined sooner. So don't be like Cece. Okay. Next, we'll hear from Alex.
So my advice would probably be, I actually take it from a book called The Four Agreements, and I live by one of these agreements in every aspect of my life. And it basically just says, if you don't understand something, keep asking clarifying questions until you do understand it. So again, if you need help, keep asking clarifying questions until you understand how you can help yourself. And if you don't get an answer from the person in front of you, keep moving on to another person so that you can get an answer that you understand. It may not necessarily be the answer that you would like, but at least then you're going to understand what exactly it is that you are hearing or that you believe you're hearing. And the reason why I say that it's important for anyone to keep asking questions until they understand something, I will share something very personal about school. I didn't realize, and this I never have said this to anybody, I didn't realize that I didn't need the money out of my own pocket to come to school. So I took about a 6 year break because life happened. And I also thought that I had to have all the money up front. But then I also realized that there's things called FAFSA. There are other resources out there. All I had to do was apply. And again, when I applied and I came into situations that I didn't understand how to navigate, I kept asking questions that led me to other people, to other doors that opened, that helped me get to where I'm at today. I believe that if you use that one agreement, it will literally will transform your life because again, you will not, at least I can only speak for myself when I say this, if I don't understand something, I'm going to annoy the life out of you until I get it. Then it's not because I want to be annoying, it's just because I want to make sure that I'm giving either that person or that topic the respect that it deserves. And I realized if you flip this around, you end up giving yourself that respect that you deserve by asking those clarifying questions, because then you're not having that clouded judgment. You're not having that uneasiness. It opens the door for the ability for these discussions like we're having to be able to meet someone else who may have navigated that same situation or that program. And then you get a different understanding and a skill set. Because I will say that a majority of the classes that I'm taking, even this semester, the only reason I'm taking them is because my tutor, or I've talked to another student through another conversation that I organically have had that has given me a different level of awareness. And again, we're going through such a scary time right now that if I have information that's going to help you, why would I not give it to you? You know what I'm saying? And I'm really grateful that us, and I'll definitely say this now, I'm so incredibly grateful that we have met each other, because I will say for myself and a couple of things that we have done, I've learned so much about other organizations. I've learned things about myself. I've relived certain past life experiences that I have lived through. And I've also now looked at myself in a very different way. But I'm incredibly grateful for the miscommunications that I have had, because it's also given me the opportunity to have a better understanding of where another person is coming from and also where I'm going.
That's awesome. And I'm just so moved because I love the way that you shared your advice with your experience. I do understand. I'm a strong advocate for what Alex said, especially with asking questions. There are no dumb questions. There are just people who are lazy to answer it fully. So agree with you, Alex. And thank you so much for sharing that.
But to add to that, though, I want to point something out that you just said. Some people may be lazy to answer that question. And sometimes some people's intentions are not in alignment with your intentions of what you're trying to learn. And so that's why I always say, keep asking the question until you understand what you're hearing, because that's important. Using that example that Kelly brought up earlier, you may have thought that that might have been the right class and you were just in that zone and you're like, I got to take this class. I got to take this class, when it may not have been the correct class that you should have been in to begin with. And even then, maybe you're not sure of your major. I wasn't sure about my major up until I am now 34. So I literally just figured out my major, and I literally kept asking people until I figured out what it is that gave me life. I'm doing what I believe in because I know that I'm meant to do it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Alex. Now we'll hear from Jihei.
The one I want to share is to participate in as many school events as possible. I know everyone will be busy with classes, but I hope many students can join a new type of college life. So most events are free at KCC, and if you're lucky, you can get a prize too. So it seems that the most important thing in college life is not only taking classes, but also meeting various people and listening to new information. Especially in our BOSA, there will be events for students, mental health, and physical health, as well as social events. So I hope many students participate in our events.
Awesome promotion, Jihei, of our events this semester. I just wanted to also put in everyone has been struggling. We've been under kind of lockdown or and different phases, but most of the time people have been indoors, not being able to meet people, and not being able to go to campus. So this semester we are trying to have a few on-campus events. Of course, we're going to have social distancing. We need everyone to wear masks and we're going to have everything as sanitized as possible. Also, when you come onto campus this semester, we also have to do a Lumi site, which is a contact tracing app for the UH system. But besides all of this, we really are trying to make it more accessible to people. For example, you really don't like online events, they're not your jam. If possible, you have the time on these dates, then we would like you to come visit us on campus for some events that we're going to hold this semester. Also, it's really important for you to reach out. I think for everyone to reach out to each other. So, for example, you don't see anyone except for in your lectures. Reach out to someone in your lecture class. Even if you're forced to do group work, talk to them more. I think everyone's kind of starving for attention nowadays, and we all really miss social interaction, whether they be online or offline. It's really hard to make new friends, I think, if you're online. You're just looking at their little box with a name on it. You don't even know what they look like. You don't know what they sound like. But for example, some of my classes have started a Discord server for the class. So we're able to chat to each other there, ask each other about homework help, ask each other about what other classes we're taking. So I think it's really important for people to reach out, especially it's still early on in the semester. We have lots of time to become friendly with one another. And also, if you want to reach out, it definitely means someone else is wanting you to reach out too. So it's just biting the bullet, putting your hand out first, and I guarantee they're going to shake your hand back.
Oh my gosh, that's so true. And especially for me, I mean, it took me to my last year at KCC to come be active and join in the many activities and programs that KCC has to offer. And I totally regret it. I would say my excuse was because I was focusing on school, but that was just because I was shy. And you know what? After joining these activities, I wish I could go back in time and just join as much as I can. And like Jihei mentioned, gain all the prizes, but also most importantly, gain the connection that KCC has to offer because we have a lot of professors, supervisors, and students we can learn from. And we could also build a community from there. But other than that, I hope it's not too cliche, but I'll share my advice. My advice would be to have fun in the process of being in college. Make sure that what you're doing is what you want to do in the future. There's always a trial and error process. No one is perfect in the beginning by choosing one specific major and going through there. Look at me. I went through 3 major changes just to find the major that I wanted. So while you're studying and while you're focusing on your academics and work training and whatever you'll be doing, just make sure that you have time for yourself. Like Jenny mentioned, self-care, take care of your health. I kind of lacked in that last year, but I'm starting again this year. Anyways, I can't thank each of you enough. These student leaders have shared so much insight to their creative plans and solutions for their back to school tips. I love the advice that each of you shared. And if you all have any last words that you want to share with us before we conclude, this will be the time. This is a discussion. This is an open blue table talk for KCC. Help the students out.
I would just say that one thing that just always keeps playing in my mind is just don't be hard on yourself. That's something that I definitely had to have another kumbaya moment with myself. And I really had to just gauge what my purpose was and what I had intended to do. I also recognized that I'm human and that I also sometimes need to recharge and I need to unplug. And there's nothing wrong with that. And sometimes that takes the form of sometimes you have to unplug from your family. So sometimes you have to go take a walk. Sometimes you just have to unplug from that quiz or whatever it is that's just bringing you down. There's nothing wrong with that. And it's incredibly important for all of us to be kind to each other, especially now with everything that's happening in the world, just extending some kindness, because I think right now we're all really truly starving for kindness. And I think that that's something that we can do to share aloha with each other, is to just, try to bring some type of joy into someone's life. And it could just be as simple as saying hi to someone or opening the door. I go 7-Eleven, and if I see someone right there, I'll open the door. Why not? It's not crazy. Let's just do kind things for each other.
Amazing points, Alex. It kind of got me thinking you don't have to be perfect. Not every assignment you hand in has to be 100%. I used to be like that too. I would beat myself up if I got a 98. Why couldn't I do that 2% more? What could I have done differently? But now I'm happy with it. I did a banging job. I'm doing great in school. And it's the little things that I'm trying not to let bog me down. Of course, it's easier said than done. I'm still going to get bothered by it. That maybe cry here and there. But it's really trying hard not to let these little things bother me, and instead looking at the large milestones. Like that class that I mentioned, I still got an A in it last semester. So did it matter? No, it didn't matter. So that's also kind of what I want to leave this talk with.
But if you also notice something that I can say for all of us, for the real, really met within the last 60 days. And within the last 60 days, we have been incredibly vulnerable with each other. And we've talked about really, really private things that some of us have chosen to share. And I think that that's so beautiful that we're able to talk story, and we are wanting to share information with each other, but then with the outside world of what is helping us or what does help us. I really want to mahalo everybody on this, because I think that we are all literally, I love that. Yeah. Because I really think that's just so beautiful that I say this to my team all the time. I said, we're living in such an amazing time if you really think about it, because we're trying to send positive things out in the universe. And we're honestly doing it straight organically from our hearts. No, nothing behind it. It's just wanting to share aloha. And so I really just want to thank everybody for that, because it's so beautiful that we're able to be vulnerable with each other in such an open way.
I totally agree. And you know what? Kindness does go a long way. And I'm glad that both of you shared it. I also agree with Alex, in the short time that we've known each other, we have been able to share with one another our trials while we were in college, vulnerable things that we're not used to sharing with other people, if you catch my drift. I will share from experience that at first I was kind of ashamed to share my academic record of leaving school for one hiatus and then coming back the next. But I realized that that's the only way that you can help other people going through the exact same problem, is sharing your experience, because you never know who you'll touch in a way that it'll help them through the predicament that they're going through. So I really do applaud each of you for sharing your experiences, being able to be vulnerable with one another, and to share it with the student body who will be listening. It isn't easy, but I do again applaud each of you.
Yeah, what you guys have been saying is really great. The takeaway that listeners can get from this talk is involvement. Of course, you got to stay focused in your school and your work, but you got to be able to release some of that stress. And we actually have several clubs here at Kapiolani that people can join. Just right off the top of my head, HAMA, I think it's what it's called. People who are doing pre-med or pre-nursing. I think nursing has their own club, and there's also ecology club as well. And even you can start your own club. So like you're saying, you can be assertive how you not influence people, but touch others. I don't know, be involved.
No, thank you so much. And you know what? In the description box below, we'll add all the support groups, students, centers that are available for students to take hold of, assistance with education. And again, thank you all for sharing your back to school tips. We hope that what these student leaders shared with you today are helpful and insightful for you to begin this new semester, especially how we're starting spring, again, online, most of us, and some on campus. So just a friendly reminder that our next Blue Table Talk will stream live on YouTube Monday, February 22nd, 2021. So get excited. For all of you who are watching, and if you have any topics that you would like us to discuss during this Blue Table Talk, feel free to add it in the chat box below or email us at our various emails, either Student Congress or the Board of Student Activities. Again, thank you, and we wish you all the best of luck during the spring semester.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.